Thursday. Zayin Elul Tavshin Dalet. We are in Teres Menachem, say from Mamar Tavshin, the Aleph Tavshin Yud Beis. In the Mamar Nosato Lireiecho of Yud Gimel Tammuz Tavshin Yud Beis. We are on page Shin Lamed Vav, Ois Dalet, chapter 4. The Rebbe explained that Nes, miracle, the Rebbe is in the middle of explaining that a miracle and Schar Mitzvah, the reward for a mitzvah, that which is accomplished through a mitzvah, are synonymous. In order to explain that, the Rebbe explained the idea of Mamar Nosato Lireiecho and Seviv Kol, Hashem's divine light that fills worlds and Hashem's divine light that transcends worlds. And the Rebbe explained that Mamar Nosato Lireiecho, Hashem's divine light that fills worlds, is inherently a fragmented light, which means it has details and aspects and gradations and levels. And because of that, it fuses with that which it illuminates or inhabits, animates. Whereas the Seviv Kol, the Hashem's transcendent light, is inherently unfragmented. And therefore, it shines equally all over. And in fact, in our state of consciousness, it's beyond our apprehension and grasp. And in fact, in all worlds, it's beyond apprehension and grasp. It's inherently transcendent. It's through avodah, through a mitzvah, that Hashem basically created a tool called Torah and mitzvahs, which allows for the transcendent light to be apprehended and grasped, but at the moment it remains concealed, and it'll be revealed in the time to come when Mashiach comes. And specifically it's revealed down here, because since it is apprehended, grasped through avodah, through serving Hashem, and serving Hashem is performed where? Down here in this world, this physical world. That's why it's revealed down here. Now going back to the idea of miracles and their relationship to mitzvahs. How miracles and schar mitzvah, the reward for mitzvah, that which is accomplished through mitzvah, is the same. If you remember, the Rebbe mentioned in the beginning of the Maimer Chazal, that a person should not put himself in a place of danger and say that Hashem will perform a miracle for him, because perhaps a miracle will not be performed for him, and if it is, then it'll be deducted from his merits, meaning from his reward for mitzvahs, which means that a miracle and reward for mitzvahs, or as the Rebbe explains it here, that which is spiritually accomplished through a mitzvah, are similar. That's where we're up to. Chapter 4.
Just one question. When it comes to, you're speaking about light, Soivev and Mamale, how does that square with Orok and Kalim? I mean, Kalim, when we speak about,
well, Mamar Nosato Lireiecho, when we speak about Oris and Kalim, that is related to Or HaMamali.
Okay.
The Rebbe said clearly before that Soivev, have a look, if you look at page Shin Lamed Vav, just before we're up to chapter 4, right?
Yeah.
Dalet. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mashen Kenir Seviv, Kishnimshach Begilui, Harei B'chol Makom B'Shaveh. You got it?
Yeah, Mishum She'ein Bo Amot.
Yitzchak Prat Matman. V'gam ha'orosi be'olemis einei b'derech oir b'kli.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a light which is not in a manner of coming down like an oir in a keli, which means it's not bepnimius.
Yeah, but there he says or Bekali. So the Kalim is simply implying that there's a third factor here, which is the Kalim, obviously. You've got Mamale or Sovev and then the Kalim.
Mamale, when we speak about Mamale and Seviv, we speak about two types of oir. Seviv is a transcendent oir, Mamale is a pneumistic oir. Right. If you want to know which oir are we referring to when we say oiris and kalim, it's oir Mamale.
Yeah. So that's what I said. Kalim is the third factor.
It's the manifestation.
It's a third factor. It happens to be that the oir.
Mamale Kol Amin can manifest itself in different Kalim.
Correct.
Yeah.
Seviv is transcendent.
Right.
Chapter 4. With all the above, we will understand that the idea of miracles is like the idea of reward for mitzvahs.
Sorry, I'm sorry to harp on about this, but in which case, what creates the kalim? Which aura creates the kalim? Mamale.
Now you're talking about something else.
I understand that, but I'm trying to fit it together. Of course, I'm talking about something else. If you don't want to deal with it at this point, you think it's not relevant, leave it. But to me, it's as you're speaking about the creative process, it seems
the idea that no, they're not talking about the creative process. The idea that we're talking about over here is memale and sevev.
Right.
Seder hishtalshalus, the order of creation, right, is memale kolamen.
I understand that.
Beyond hishtalshalus is sevev kolamen. Beyond worlds is sevev kolamen. That's the point that he's making.
Right.
And what he's trying to say, he's not going into the details. Where's the source of the Oir HaMemale and where's the source of the Kalim, right? He's focusing in on Memale and Seviv.
Okay.
Sheresh of Kalim and Sheresh of Eris is different nekuda. So, with this we will understand that the idea of miracles and the idea of reward for mitzvahs are similar. Just like the reward for mitzvah. What's the concept? What's the idea of a reward for mitzvah? It is the idea of drawing down Hashem's transcendent light, which surrounds all worlds, which means it's beyond the chain order of creation. That's the idea of Schar Mitzvah. So too is also the idea of a miracle. What's the idea of a miracle? It's beyond nature. The teva hu miloshen tvia. The word teva is from the expression tvia, which means sunk, sinking, or submerged. It says in Naz Yashir, and his elite troops, officers, were sunk into the Yamsuf, into the Red Sea, right? So tubu, teva, is an expression of something submerged or sunk. What is submerged? Dahainu, sho'elakus hu behelem vehester ben Ivraim. Teva means a state of existence where godliness is in a state of concealment, hiddenness and concealment within created beings. That's what teva is. That's one definition of teva. V'hugam, another definition of teva is miloshen matbeya. So the expression of matbeya, which means stamp. Al derech loshen ha-mishnah. The Sanhedrin, similar to the expression of the Mishnah in Tractate Sanhedrin, Odom teveya kama matbeya is b'chesem echad. The Mishnah over there speaks about witnesses on a capital offense, on an offense of two witnesses, where the punishment might be death for the person for the accused. So there's a chakir. You have to interrogate the witnesses and you have to say things to them to explain to them the severity of the situation. So it talks about Mishnah. It gives a whole description that you say to them, and you have to tell them about how the value of a human life, how special a human being is. So one of the things the Mishnah says, Adam tevei kama matbeis b'chesem echad. Man mints a number of coins with one stamp. Kulam daimim zelazeh. All the coins are similar to one another. But the King of all kings, the King of kings, Hashem, stamped every person with the stamp of Adam Rishon, of the first man, and not one person is similar to his friend. The aim parts of him because people's faces are not the same as one another, right? So matbeya is basically it's that stamp with which you mint the coin. That's what matbeya means, right? So teva is from the expression of Abbeya.
She's not using the image of a mold. Interesting.
Well, it's a similar
The
idea.
stamp is coming with a descent. You said it's coming down.
Similar idea. But it's a similar idea.
Sinking.
That which, well, sinking was the first one.
But it's a similar thing. The stamp is coming down.
Yeah. Well, in fact, the Chassidus does speak about it. There's a chesem belet and a chesem shakua. A stamp which is where it protrudes, or a stamp which is sunk in, which is like a mold.
Yeah.
Also, two types of. But you are right that there is differences between whether it protrudes or it's sunk in, whether it's a stamp or a mold. So, what's the point? Behind the fische inyan hateva. So teva is the expression of that stamp, right? That which you stamp into the coin. What's the idea of how does that relate to teva, to nature? Hu mitzad oir hameval kalamin. Sheyesh beis chalkas pratim. What's the idea of a stamp? The stamp is what fashions the details in the material that you're stamping. Similar to teva, right? Where the godly life force responsible for nature is a fragmented one. The characteristics of every created being within nature is as a result of the godly life force. So it has this chalkos pratim. It has fragmentation of details. That's teva, right? Aval inyan hanes shelamaylam teva, but the idea of a miracle, which is beyond nature. It's in a manner that a new light shines, illuminates, a new light shines in the world. Something that is unusual, something that's not there in the usual course of things. What is it? What is actually shining in the world in a miracle? What is that unusual light? It's the idea of the drawing down of the transcendent light, divine light, which is completely beyond worlds. That's point number one. So point number one is that Sovev, Nes is the idea, miracle is the idea of drawing down a transcendent light which is completely beyond worlds. But worlds continue to exist. It doesn't mean that it's beyond worlds and the world is blown apart. Even more so, says the Rebbe, that the revelation, not only is there a revelation of this transcendent light through the miracle, right? But even more so, it's in such a manner. It shines, it illuminates the world, it shines the world in the world, the world as it is in its usual existence. In its natural limitations. Why? Where do we see that? Because even after the miracle, the general world, the rest of the world, so to speak, besides the area or the place in which the miracle takes place, right, remains in its limitations. It's just that in one detail there was a miracle. If that's the case, the drawing down of the transcendent light through a miracle is in the world as the world is in its condition. This is the idea that we said in the beginning of the Mamar, the word, the pasuk, the verse in Tehillim, upon which this Mamar is based and begins, that Hashem gives to those who fear Him a miracle with which to lift them. That the idea of a miracle is that it causes a lifting in the world itself, similar to the condition of the world, the state of the world that it will be in the time to come when Mashiach comes.